Imagine standing face to face with the man who has sworn to destroy you. Your greatest enemy vulnerable, his life in your hands. Do you strike, or do you show mercy? This is the true story of a night when one of history's greatest leaders, Salahuddin Ayyubi, saved the life of his sworn foe and, in doing so, changed the course of a war. Stay with me, because this story reveals the incredible honor and ethics that define the legend. Welcome to Noble Footsteps, where we bring to life the true stories from Islamic history, stories of courage, justice, wisdom, and mercy. If these lessons from the past inspire you, make sure to subscribe and join us on this journey. Our story begins in the heat of the Crusades. The holy city Jerusalem had just returned to Muslim rule under Salahuddin, and tensions were at a boiling point. Leading the Third Crusade was the formidable King of England, Richard the Lionheart. His mission was clear: retake Jerusalem at all costs. The two armies were locked in a fierce struggle for control of the Holy Land. Then, disaster struck the Crusader camp. Richard the Lionheart, their fierce and seemingly invincible leader, fell dangerously ill. A raging fever consumed him, sapping his strength day by day. His formidable presence faded, and a wave of uncertainty and fear washed over his soldiers. Without their king, their entire campaign was on the verge of collapse. Word of Richard's grave illness quickly reached Salahuddin's camp. For any other commander, this would have been the perfect opportunity. His greatest adversary was incapacitated. The leader of the crusade was at death's door. With Richard gone, the Crusader army would likely crumble. Victory would be swift, decisive, and almost effortless. This was his moment to end the war. But Salahuddin was not a man who built his victories on the suffering of others. He was a leader who built his legacy on honor, chivalry, and a profound sense of justice. He saw a man in need, not just an enemy on the battlefield. So he made a decision that would stun the world and echo through history for centuries. Instead of celebrating his enemy's misfortune, Salahuddin immediately dispatched his personal physicians to the Crusader camp. Yes, you heard that right. He sent his own doctors to treat the very man leading an army against him. His orders were simple and clear: treat him as you would treat me. But his generosity didn't stop there. Salahuddin also sent a caravan of supplies from the Muslim camp to Richard's tent. Fresh fruit to restore his strength, and precious snow, brought down from the mountains to help cool his burning fever. It was an act of pure, unadulterated humanity in the midst of a brutal war. Richard's own soldiers were in disbelief. They watched as the enemy they were fighting brought aid and comfort to their dying king. They whispered amongst themselves, "Why? Why would Salahuddin help the man he is at war with?" The answer lay in Salahuddin's deeply held principles. He believed that the rules of engagement and the codes of honor were not to be discarded, even in war. Humanity, for him, was non-negotiable. When Richard finally recovered enough to speak, his first act was to send a message of thanks to Salahuddin. Humbled by this incredible act of chivalry, Richard reportedly admitted, "There is no man like Salahuddin in all the lands of Islam or Christendom." The two leaders would never meet face to face, but this single act forged a bond of mutual respect that became legendary. They remained enemies on the battlefield, but they became equals in honor. Salahuddin's mercy was not a sign of weakness. It was a demonstration of immense strength. It elevated him beyond the status of a mere conqueror to that of a truly noble leader. This wasn't an isolated incident. Throughout his life, Salahuddin was known for his magnanimity. After conquering Jerusalem, he forbade his soldiers from harming any civilians. He personally guaranteed the safety of the Christian and Jewish residents, allowing them to practice their faith freely. He provided safe passage to women, children, and the elderly, ensuring they could leave the city unharmed. His reputation for kindness and justice was so widespread that even his enemies, the Christian chroniclers of the Crusades, wrote about his remarkable character. They documented his mercy, his fairness, and his unwavering commitment to his word. For Salahuddin, mercy wasn't a tactical weakness, it was a strategic moral strength. It earned him the trust of his people, the respect of his adversaries, and a legacy that has remained untouched by time. Richard the Lionheart eventually recovered, thanks in no small part to the care he received from his enemy. The war did continue, but something had fundamentally shifted. The conflict was now tinged with a new tone, one of mutual respect between the two leaders. This respect influenced their negotiations and their conduct on the battlefield. Later, Richard would express his admiration by saying he wished a king like Salahuddin ruled in Europe. And Salahuddin, in turn, acknowledged Richard as a man of immense courage and valor. They were enemies in war, but brothers in honor. Their extraordinary story remains one of the most powerful examples of ethical leadership in the midst of conflict. Salahuddin's actions teach us timeless lessons. He showed us that respect is not a sign of weakness, but the ultimate sign of strength. He proved that justice can and must exist even in the darkest of times. He demonstrated that mercy can win hearts far more effectively than swords ever could. And he taught us that true, lasting leadership is built on unwavering character, not just on power and conquest. It is said that when Salahuddin died, he owned almost nothing. He had given away his vast wealth to the poor and needy, regardless of their faith. His material possessions were few, but his legacy? It's priceless. The story of Salahuddin Ayyubi is a powerful reminder that our shared humanity can transcend our deepest divisions. It shows that mercy has the power to transform enemies into respected adversaries, and to turn brutal conflict into a contest of honor. If this true story of courage and character has inspired you, please like this video and subscribe to Noble Footsteps.